Yes, honey.
Cheers, friends, and welcome to the next episode of Uncorked-N-Conversation. Cheers, ladies. Now, listeners, we trust that you've got your wine or your beverage, whatever that may be, that you're snuggled up on your couch. It's a bit of a cold day, so go ahead and snuggle up in your blanket and get ready so we can chit and chat and sip our beverages on this great show tonight. I'm so excited. It's your girl Elle. Of course, I'm here with Paulette and April, and I am super excited about this episode tonight. Tonight, before we tell you all about what we're sipping on, I would like to introduce you all to an amazing, inspiring, beautiful talent, a beautiful lady inside and out. Someone I'm
Yes.
just very honored to have on our show.
Yes.
Welcome, country music sensation, Roberta Lea. Welcome, Roberta.
Yay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I've been following you guys for ever since we met, right? Yes.
Wonderful.
So just definitely honored to be a part of this tonight.
Oh, wonderful.
Wonderful.
We're glad to have you.
Yes. Thank you so much for following. We so appreciate that. We so appreciate that. Now, we always talk about what we've got that we're sipping on. Roberta, go ahead and share with us what your beverage is for tonight.
For tonight, I have some chamomile tea.
Oh,
Nice.
yes. Chamomile tea. I love it.
Yeah, just
Yes.
nice, warm, soothing, getting myself ready to turn it down for the evening. And so I just figured this would be a good time to warm some of this up. So that's what I'm sipping on tonight.
Wonderful.
Beautiful.
Wonderful.
And you want to have that soothing tea to be sure that your voice is ready. You're on tour. You want to make sure that you're ready for it. So yeah, I love that. I love that thought. April, Paulette, what do you happen to have? April is Chardonnay herself. Roberta, I don't know if you've heard us tell this story before. I've told it before, but I'm going to tell it again while you're here. One night we were at a birthday party. It was Paulette's birthday party, as a matter of fact, and it was a big group of us. The waitress was coming around to take our order. It was very loud, so it was a little difficult to hear. And April and I were seated beside each other, and the waitress says, she already got my drink order, and she says to April, what will you be drinking? No, what is your name? Because she wanted to get our name so that we could, she could get our drinks right. She said, and what is your name? Chardonnay. She's ordering her drink, not even listening to the lady.
I love it. I love that.
Yes.
Call me Chardonnay, baby.
Yes.
They do.
We do. We do.
That's awesome. Yes, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She thinks she is just the person because I'm in the line dance community. We also have a dance called Chardonnay. And I showed her the dance this weekend, and she was like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, yes, that's my dance. I want to learn that."
Oh
Chart
wait, I need
everything.
to learn. I need to learn about this line dance community. Hold on.
Oh, it's
girl,
phenomenal.
it is.
It
I
is.
mean, across the country, Roberta, from the east to the west, and all of that in between.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to deviate. I'm gonna behave and not deviate from the order. But I'm just gonna put a little note in real quick.
Okay.
To circle back to this line
Yes.
dance conversation.
Yes.
Absolutely, yes. And you can deviate all you want. We are very organic here. We just sit and chat, and it's all good. And this is your show tonight. Just so that you know, this is your show. So
Okay. Well, I want to come back to that line dance conversation.
And so, April, what you got, girl?
So everyone knows that my drink is Chardonnay, but I'm challenging myself.
Okay. Watch out there now.
So last week I drank a red, right?
That's true.
It was a Cabernet Sauvignon.
Right.
Tonight, this week, I'm drinking a rosé.
Oh, rosé.
Nice.
And you know what's so special about the rosé? This one is made from a Chardonnay grape.
Of course it is.
Of course.
Of course, we couldn't deviate too far.
Perfect.
really good. It's dry. You know, I love it dry and very smooth.
Just that I'm
Right.
gonna have my rosé and my Chardonnay too. I'm here for it.
I approve of rosé.
All right.
I'm a Chardonnay drinker myself, but I approve of rosé, even though it's not my favorite one. But yeah.
Yeah. It's I like it. This is more than my daughter. She loves a rosé, so I'll say, let me grab one of her wine. She don't
And
never
I think I gave you one. Didn't I give you a rosé during Christmas when
You
we
did.
came out of the
Oh,
movie?
that's
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
How was
pretty.
that? Because that was a California rosé. How did you like that one?
That was really good too. That was.
I'm
good.
sure you don't have it anymore.
That's gone.
Probably one of those bottles beside the bed. Anyway.
Well, you telling all her secrets. Well, I have something for you, April. I'm hoping you'll be able to see it since you're drinking a rosé tonight. You like that? Like that?
Yep.
Rosé all day.
All day.
Look at
Yes.
that. We didn't even
That's
plan
something.
that. And I was
Yep.
ready for you. That's my coaster tonight.
Oh wow. Okay.
Good.
Now we have to play. Now we have to play "Rosé" by Mickey Guyton. You guys heard that one?
Yes, I have.
I
Yes.
have not.
I haven't heard that one.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
That's a fun
All
one.
right. Who's next?
I guess I'll go next. I have a California 2022 Moscato from Constantino Winery. It's not my norm. I'm glad it doesn't have any carbon in it because the carbon that really gets to me. This one is fruity, but it's more on the dry side, and it's not very sweet at all. And you know how I feel about my Moscato. I like mine to be sweet to semi-sweet.
Right.
But this one, I am feeling it. It is a little heavier, actually. Actually, it's heavier than the ones that have the carbon in it. But I'm glad, like I said, the carbon is not in it because that fills you up those bubbles and stuff, and I really don't like those. Yeah. So I'm enjoying this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And I am very simple tonight. I am drinking a yellowtail Chardonnay, nice and buttery Chardonnay. You know, I like my Chardonnay nice and buttery. And I'll display I just have to say, I know that they're going to judge me, Roberta. I'm not drinking out of a wine glass tonight. This is my Chardonnay cup tonight. And I know they're going to judge me. They never judge me. They won't judge me behind my back, which is wonderful. They'll judge me right to my face. And so I can take it.
It's just so disrespectful.
It is. I can't believe it. I need for you to right now retreat to the kitchen, get a glass, and pour that in there.
Oh.
And it's plastic. Oh my!
That make me.
I'm gonna enjoy my Chardonnay.
Upgrade from that plastic cup she had that one time.
That red cup. I had a red Solo cup one time.
She had a red Solo cup.
Well, at least this one has sparkles in it now.
That's right. See, look at that.
As I said before, another ghetto taster.
Look, we'll have to. You can put that as a little preview to this episode since we got that
introduction.
Yeah. That's right. It is. It's on a regular introduction. So there you go. That's me. That'll be me. Well, now that we all know that what we're drinking, and my girls have had a chance to, shame me to my face. Let's introduce Roberta. Let's welcome Roberta. Roberta, I have to say, so I had the opportunity to see you in concert and hear your music for the first time. Gosh, way back a year ago. We were just talking about this pre-show, how it's already been a year. Over at Smart Mouth Pilot House, I believe that's the name of it. Paulette and I hung out. We hung out that night. We met up with a very good friend of mine from high school, Joey Mondachek,
right,
who told me about you and told me about the concert. And so we could not wait to I hadn't seen him in many, many years. Isn't he wonderful?
He's incredible.
He really is.
Yeah.
And he knows how to bring people together. And that's something that I really love about him. And he has a huge love of music. So that was our first time having an opportunity to see you. What an amazing, I felt like I was in a huge arena experiencing a concert. I enjoy country music myself. And I can't say that I know a lot of country music artists and who people are, but I do enjoy their music. And hearing your music, hearing and watching you perform along with your band, and I follow them on Instagram. Can you tell me their name again?
BKS. Mm-hmm.
That's right, PKS.
Best kept
That's right.
secret. Yep.
That
Hey,
yes, that BKS,
so
best kept
good.
secret. They're
Yep.
so great.
Oh man.
Yeah. So it
Mm.
was just a wonderful concert, and I wanted to start off, asking you really how you got started doing
Yeah.
country music.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. It wasn't something that I consciously chose to do.
Okay.
I feel like at bottom line, I'm just a songwriter, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I fell in love with the keyboard. My very first instrument, somewhere between the piano and the violin. Formerly the violin at school, right? You
Yeah.
gotta do your little elective. So formerly
Yeah.
the violin. And then casually, as a hobby at home, I have the little the kitty
Mm-hmm.
pianos, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, as I got older and just fell in love with music, all the more I'd be on piano, I'd write songs to piano. But when it came to performing them and going to open mics and things of that nature, it was a lot harder to lug a huge keyboard around.
Right. Right.
Especially because it was weighted keys. I'm sitting here lugging this keyboard around. So I decided to pick up guitar so it'd be easier to perform.
Right.
And because I picked up guitar, I started writing more to guitar. And when I started writing more to guitar, I would have more songs that started to lean towards country. But again, it's not a process that I thought about. If I wrote a song and it came out pop, cool. If it came out country, cool. If it came out R&B, cool. Like I'm glad to just be in the room. You know what I mean? I'm just glad to be here.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until, I would have to say that if I could give it an official time stamp, it wasn't until 2021 when I started to get more feedback from people when I would perform and they say, man, I like your style. You got like this country, like you sound like India.Arie if she was country, right?
Yeah.
I would
That's a
get
great description.
That is a great description.
Yeah. Someone said country neo pop. Right?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm just
I can feel that.
Yeah. And I'm just taking in this feedback from other people. I'm just writing my songs and put it out. And then the listeners tell me, oh, that's country. And so I'm like,
Okay.
Sure. I don't know what to do with that, but
Right. Just want you to like it.
Right, because I didn't see people like me doing country music. Right. But when I kept getting that response, I finally decided to look up, you just go on Google and I said, Black women in country music. I'm like, you got to give me something. What we got out there? Yeah. And Mickey Guyton was, the artist that was pulled up, and she's been doing her thing for a really long time. So I started following Mickey Guyton. And through Mickey Guyton, I remember there was one time on Instagram, she started just dropping Black artists in country music. She was like, this person's country and this person's country and this person. So I'm following everybody and through that I find Color Me Country Radio, which is hosted by Reese Palmer. It's an Apple Music podcast show. So definitely check that out when you get a chance.
Yes.
Shout out to Reese. So I'm following her, and this is pandemic, right? So so during the pandemic, I'm starting, I opened Twitter in like 2017 or 2000 something, but I never engaged because I just didn't get it. I was like, Twitter was just over my head.
Yeah.
And so it was one of those social medias I just left in the dust. I put it on the shelf. Well, because of the pandemic, I was getting bored with everywhere else. I was bored with Instagram, bored with Facebook. I'm like, well, let me go over to Twitter and see what's going on, right? So I start following Reese Palmer on Twitter and engaging in these conversations because around that time, George Floyd, right? Yes. And racial tensions in the US are going up. Again, it's like a vicious, abusive cycle, right? It goes up and down, up and down, up and down. And so conversations are going around that Charlie Pride, I think, passed away at the time.
Yes.
And so all these conversations around race and country music is blowing up. So I'm following along because like I said, I hear from everybody else that I'm country. So I'm like, okay, let me peep this real quick. Let's see what's going on in this
Let's get the
space.
landscape,
Let's
right?
get the landscape. And when I'm following Reese Palmer, I interact with another incredible woman named Holly G. And I'll never forget this tweet. I'll never forget this time when, you know, there was talk culturally about Black representation in country music, Black representation in Nashville, all of that. And I said to Reese Palmer, I said, you know, I would hesitate to go to spaces like Nashville, because what if they receive us but kind of like begrudgingly, like, all right, fine, y'all made enough noise, fine, we'll let you in. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I don't want to go in a space that doesn't celebrate me.
Right.
And I'm
you don't want to be
afraid of
tolerated.
exactly.
right.
So I said, you know, I said something of that effect, and Holly responded. She was like, no, because we're gonna break all those doors down. We're gonna bust these ceilings. We just hyped each other up, right? We hyped each other up. Well, lo and behold, Holly was creating a blog called The Black Opry. I didn't know that. I didn't know that at the time.
Okay.
Right? But she saw me online being discouraged, and she was like, no. She's like, don't move. Just wait right there. I'm coming. And she creates a blog called The Black Opry, where she starts collecting profiles of Black artists in country, folk, Americana, roots music.
Wow.
Hence my wall here. You can see that's my friend Erin Vance. There's Joy Clark, Brittany Spencer's up here, right? So she's collecting these profiles, and I put like just a demo song on YouTube. I I record a video of myself singing King Size. So I put it on YouTube, and then Holly spreads on Twitter. She's like, Roberta just released her first country record, everybody. Yay. And I'm just like, I did.
Love that. Wow.
Like, okay.
Just like that.
Just like that. And so she, you know, figuratively grabbed me by the hand. She was like, you're officially country now. So come on over to this side. And I can say that 2021 was when it was like, I'm officially in this lane, and I'm receiving it, and I'm embracing it. And I also have community that is going to give me the confidence and the courage to keep going. So that is when
Wow. What a journey thus far.
I know.
Yeah, quite a while. Yes, quite a journey.
Wow.
Quite a journey.
And I love how you're like, I'm doing my art. This is my craft. I'm just doing this. I'm writing. How old were you when you started writing music?
I would say, 16, 17?
Wow, great.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I was in a church that had like a music ministry on Saturdays, and they were all, I was part of a band, and we were like, let's new songs. It was really popular for a while for Christians to take secular songs and remake them. I don't know if you guys remember that, take them, remake them.
Yes.
And I would write original tunes for my band. And so that's kind of where I started. And so that would be 20 years now.
Wow. How awesome is that?
Yeah,
and indeed, I remember. Go ahead.
The true, I'm just saying that's just a true artist being born in that moment. And just to hear about how you progress from that 16-year-old. So my question is, now I know that you still, doing your thing, but do you take a moment now and say, hey, back then when I was 16, I never thought I would be who I am now, and you're becoming whoever that is in the future, what does that look like for you?
Yeah. I feel like at 16, there is not enough resource. There wasn't enough resource to explain to me that this was possible. Right? Success in music is presented to you. You have one or two options, is what they make it seem like. Either you sell your soul to the devil and become a huge megastar, or you maintain your integrity, but you're a starving artist and you're barely making it.
Yeah.
That's the way
Same with acting. Yes.
Right? That's the
narrative.
way it seems. Like, there's just no in between. And there is a middle class of musicianship that exists. And it took me, I had to see that. I had to see what that looked like to perform as a musician and make a decent income, right? I don't, I don't have to aim to be some, Hollywood superstar.
Mm-hmm.
I can make a decent income every month that is going to be able to cover my expenses as an artist and also cover my expenses as a living human, right?
Okay.
Right.
So, as a 16-year-old, I didn't see that as an option. The only options they paint you is go to college, right? Get a job,
Yeah.
get married, and you go have
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
They grow up and you retire. Like, it's just a very beaten path that
Right.
is, given to us. And the possibilities seem very narrow. So when I started to learn myself as a musician, as a songwriter at 16, I saw it only as a hobby. And that eventually I'd go to college and get a job. And that's why it took me so long to actually pursue it full time as a career, because I followed the beaten path, right? And just kept it as a hobby. Always had my piano, my husband, that was my wedding gift. That was my what do they call it? Dowry? No, it's
Yeah.
when we got married, my husband bought me a piano, right? And I just had a piano room, always writing songs, and I would be able to express it, in ministry, for example, when I was at church. So that satisfied the itch for the season, but after a while I realized that it was something that just would never leave me alone. I've gone through phases. Like, I used to make jewelry, right? So I go, I make jewelry, and then stop. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I get into something else and I do it. And
Yep.
stop.
And stop. Yep.
Songwriting? Oh no. You
Right.
you open a fridge and grab some lemonade and all of a sudden it's like
Song.
lemonade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of a sudden my brain just starts that and I just can't help it.
Yep.
Right.
That's
12
right.
lemons, slice them up, bag of sugar.
I'll write a whole, I'll take that lemonade, make a whole metaphor out of that junk.
Yes.
Just because I was getting lunch.
Yeah.
And make a whole song.
Yeah.
And my
Love
brain just can't help itself. And so after a while I'm like, maybe I should pay a little bit more attention to this and not treat it as a passing moment and treat it as a hobby, because obviously it was more than that.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad that you saw that and realized that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You mentioned doing this full time, and I understand that you were working full time at one point in the professional world, and then left that to pursue your music career, which speaks very closely to our hearts, especially April and myself, who have done similar things, leaving the corporate world and pursuing our passions. Talk a little bit about that transition for you.
Well, I was teaching. I used to be a teacher. I taught at Lake Taylor High School. I taught at Booker T. Washington High School.
Oh, Norfolk in the house.
Yeah. Yes. And so I loved teaching. And I call it my pandemic pivot because it was the middle of the pandemic. I taught at Lake Taylor for about 3 years, and then my husband and I moved to North Carolina. So when I moved and left teaching the first time, that was really hard because I remember announcing to my classes, they start crying, I start crying. I'm sorry, I'm leaving you. But like it was a wreck. I was a wreck. And it was very painful, because you hear a lot that, especially, people kind of drag the teaching profession and these kids and I had a blast. Okay, we had fun in my class. And so I grew really close with them. So when I had to leave, that was the first time, Lake Taylor, that was really, really hard. We moved to North Carolina. We moved back to Virginia, scooped up a job working at Booker T. But then the pandemic came around. And at that time, right before then, like 2019, I'm talking to my husband. I'm like, babe, this dream won't leave me alone. Like, I have to give it a shot. Like, I gotta do something. And so we're plotting and we're planning and we're figuring things out. 2020 rolls around. He does real estate. He works in mental health. And at the time he still does real estate, but at that time he was mainly doing real estate. And so I'm still working as a teacher. And we have summer pay and all that kind of stuff. So that summer of 2020, I'm still getting paid. I'm covering the bills. Well, he goes balls to the wall as a realtor because everyone else backed out. And there are people who were still trying to buy and sell homes.
Okay.
And so
Right.
he went
Okay.
out hustling. And that summer we were able to knock out all of our debt. I had student
Wow.
loans, right? We had, there was like a hurricane or something, and something happened to our roof before we bought the house. And so we had to get a new roof. It's just little things that built up. And so we were like, okay, well, if I want to step away from my job full time to pursue music, let's at least get us in a situation financially to where it's not going to hurt when I do.
Right.
We got completely out of debt. We worked together as a team and got out of debt summer of 2020.
Beautiful.
So between the school year 2020 and 2021, it was all virtual.
Mhm.
So unlike the time when I left Lake Taylor first, where I was really attached to my kids, this time I didn't know who they were. I couldn't see them. They wouldn't turn their cameras on. I didn't know their names because in Spanish you get a new name, right? You get like a
Oh,
Spanish,
yeah.
you get a Spanish name. So I don't know what you look like. I don't even know what your real name is. Half the time they're not even showing up. I'm just And so, I was like, well, this might be a good time to just
Step back.
Yeah.
Right.
bow out gracefully, like, okay,
Yeah.
bye. Like,
Yeah.
nobody, so that's when it was like, okay, this seems like it's a good time to just like kind of bow out. Okay, bye everybody,
Yeah.
and so that I resigned, finished the school year
Right.
till June of 2021, and resigned, talked to my principal, said that this would have been in the works for a while. And it's interesting because I remember 2019, 2020, I remember I had a panic attack at school. Like there was a resource counselor who was right across the hall. They had an office right across the hall from me, and I'm standing there. My students are coming in. My students are walking by. They're like, "You're all right, Miss Walters." The counselor's like, "Miss Walters, are you doing okay?" And I panicked. Like they had to wheel me down to the nurse's office, call my husband, and have him take me home. And
wow.
I firmly believe that when your spirit is ready for the next level, it will attack your body until you move.
Ooh.
Oh.
Your spirit
Whoa.
That's so
will
true.
make it
Oh.
known
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
through, I honestly think through things like depression, anxiety, those panic attacks, right? The list can go on and on and on, but I really do feel like a lot of times, right? Health, yes, there are a lot of elements that are just strictly health and genes, whatever. But on the other end of the spectrum, there are times when your spirit will shout to the rooftops one way or another to get you to move. And I feel like that was my time where it's like, you are not happy here. I loved my job. I loved my students, but I was not happy. And that is something to be said when typically anyone outside looking in can look at it and be like, oh, that's good. You have a good job. You're getting paid. Your students are good. What's the problem? And you're still upset. You're still crying. You're still like, ah! You know what I mean? If that's the case, I feel like that's a telltale sign. It's not the same as your job sucks and you in harassment and drama and all that kind of stuff, and you just need to, that's different. If things are just honky dory, and no, you don't really have much to complain about, but you're still itching to get out of that space. That's telltale.
I believe that's you were supposed to have left a long time ago. You overstayed That's the problem. So when the spirit first, it was like a little nudge. When I'm happy here, this is so nice. This is so wonderful. Everyone is so great. Here's another nudge, and you're going to ignore that one too. Here's another nudge. Okay. Spirit is like, boom. I'm going to make this in this time.
Yeah.
I'm going to get your attention.
And you probably ignored that one too. Until you just could not ignore.
Until you can't take it anymore.
Exactly. Because that's what happened to all of us. You know, you're so unhappy in your situation, but first thing you're going to say, well, I got bills. Well, I can't leave yet. Or I can't do it. It's all of these can't, and all these valid reasons why you don't. And like you said, outside drama, because you know you can leave, you know, that's easy to pick up and leave because that's the excuse you would need to push you out the door. But like you said, I got stuff that I need. I'm so used to being comfortable. But sometimes God is like, I need you to be uncomfortable so I can put you over here because I got something better for you.
Absolutely.
Every time.
Yes.
Every time.
So yeah, I totally understand that.
And it's you don't recognize it.
Right.
You won't recognize it until there's that push. There's like a scripture that says, you know, like an eagle, and I heard the eagle will make the nest very uncomfortable for the for the eagle. Like, get out.
Yeah.
And that's the way
I've recently had to do that myself.
Oh, that's some real life stuff.
Yeah, that's real life stuff right there. I recently had to do that myself.
Yeah. Talk about it.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
April, you make a great point, because there does get to be a point where, you know, you can wait too long. And, you know, I've seen situations where, you know, like you said, it's all hunky-dory. There's no real alarming problem. But if you wait way too long, then problems start to arise. If you don't listen to that panic attack, if you will, right, then other things just, you know, it just starts, you know, just catastrophe starts. And so it's so important that, you know, we recognize that, and you did recognize it. And it may have been later than, you know, than it started. Maybe it started well before that, and maybe this was just your time. But I'm glad that that panic attack, you know, put you in that reflective place where you could say, you know what, let me work on this. And then you set a plan in motion and did it.
Absolutely.
And you speak about your husband, who we had the opportunity to meet as well. And you're such a beautiful, statuesque young lady. How tall are you, Roberta, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, see, what happened was I used to be 5'8". I know it. And suddenly I go to the doctor and they're talking about 5'7" and a quarter. And I'm with 3/4. I'm like, I don't know who's in here messing around, snatching inches off me. But I'm 5'8".
Okay. Well, I honestly thought 5'10". You're quite a statuesque lady, and it's you know, you beam, you glow. So I'm sure that larger than life component is what adds that. It's interesting because you mentioned at the performance that Paulette and I went to, you know, being a taller lady, but you know, your husband, you said the husband can handle it. He's a tall guy, you know.
Yes, he is.
He's a tall guy. He's a king size man.
Yes, he is. King size man.
That's
That's right. King size.
That was on my. That was on my list.
About him? Is that song about him?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Look at that smile. I love it.
I know, right? I know. I love Black Love. Keep it going, please.
Oh, Black Love.
Please. Keep it going. Keep it
and
going.
What's so beautiful in your situation is that his support of you throughout this, you know, you worked as a team to really make this happen. And I know he's with you as you tour, as you perform. He's right there involved, as well as your daughter. Now, how many children do you have? Two children. Okay. And your children ages, I know, we saw your daughter perform. Daughter perform. Yes.
So cute.
Yes. Vanessa is 10 and my son Michael is 8.
Okay.
8.
Okay.
Wonderful. Yeah. Vanessa and Michael. Hi, Vanessa and Michael. Your mom is wonderful. And So it really is a family affair because we were so touched. I think Paulette still has the video of
Yeah.
you and your daughter perform. Oh gosh.
It was
Talk
too
about
cute.
that. Yeah, and how the family component and why that's so important.
Yeah, I think, someone was asking me the other day on another interview. They're like, "Man, how do you manage to, balance family, right? And all of the things that a career in music calls for." And one thing that makes it very easy is the fact that our home life is emotionally easy.
Good.
I like that.
It is
Wonderful.
emotionally light, right?
Wonderful.
The kiddos laugh. There's a lot of laughter. There's a lot of conversation and
Good.
engaging and involvement in one another's interests. So for example, my daughter, she loves to draw, so we're going to get her the drawing kits and all of those different things. And their auntie puts them in piano classes. She's a rich auntie. She's a nurse, so she just got money, right? And she ain't got no kids, so she just scoops them up and just piano lessons and passes the fun bill and all of these fun stuff. And my husband and I are like, we sit down and have dinner, right? We have story time at bedtime. We have these routines, and it makes the mental and emotional load very light.
Wonderful.
And so that makes it that much easier to do things like pursuing our dreams and involving one another in our dreams. Because
Right.
if I can't stand you in the house, I definitely don't want you in my workspace. Right? Like we can't do that. So it's easy. My daughter is definitely a mini me, right? She loves the piano and gets up there and wants to write her little songs and all that kind of stuff.
Oh.
And my son is just like his dad, right? He's like my daughter is like, "Mommy, take out the camera and take a picture of me." And my son is like, "Please, please don't look."
Yeah. So your son is behind the scenes. He'll do all the technical stuff behind the scenes and
Yes,
set up and break down and all that. He don't want any part of the other stuff. I got you.
None.
You know that can change when they get older now. They could switch up.
They can switch it up on you. I know it.
Yeah.
I know it. They be switching it up on me all the time. but yes, and so it's our culture, really, our home culture is to be a source of support for one another in our endeavors. My husband and I believe in, like I said before, we were in the church, and so we understand scripture and things of that nature. And there are a lot of people who go to church and they still don't understand scripture.
Amen.
Say it, girl.
Amen.
Ooh,
like the one that's going around that you constantly see on social media.
What's that?
So the question is, who comes first? The children, the spouse, or family? And so, of course, you know what the women are saying. My kids come first. My kids come first. And the men are looking at them like, what? And then that obviously they don't know which way it's supposed to go. You got to take care. Of course, God is going to come first. Okay. Your faith is going to come first. But if you don't take care of your spouse and your spouse take care of you, how are you going to take care of the kids?
Well, here's the thing is that you are inadvertently taking care of the kids by taking care of your spouse and them seeing you take care of one another, because then they mimic back behavior and they take care of one another. And then there's this community of care going on. Right.
Exactly.
And so your relationship with your spouse is an example to your children, and they will behave accordingly.
Right. Correct. Exactly. Because they're going to watch what you're doing, and sometimes they don't even have to watch.
They don't.
I have a daughter right now that is so much like her father, and she hasn't even been around her father all her life.
Man,
and it's
when
like,
oh my God. When I tell you that code goes down into those cells are just transferring those little codes everywhere.
Girl,
I believe it. I believe it.
Yes. I do too. I've seen it.
A gazillion computer chips just rotating.
Yes.
And you have a kid and they just gone. And man, my daughter, when I was little, I found a pair of scissors and I cut bangs in my hair, right? But I had curly hair. My sisters used to get perms. And so back in the 90s, I would see all my sisters and their friends and the black girls on the perm boxes and TV with the ponytail and the swoop bang. So I want a little bang. But I didn't realize that with curly hair, that wasn't going to work. And so I grabbed scissors, boom, chop, and right, all over the place. Tell me why. One day I'm in my daughter's room cleaning up and I just see these little curls in the corner. And I'm like,
no,
that's my child.
That's my child. That is my child. You sure did.
Oh,
the same spot. The same.
And you hadn't even told her anything about you ever did that.
No.
That's funny.
None of that.
Oh,
the programming is there. Like
the programming.
I can't stand it. I can't stand
the
it.
hardwiring, right?
Hardwiring.
That DNA hardwire, something else.
Man,
but
you ain't never lied.
And so, one of the other misinterpreted scriptures a lot of times is that submission, right? Wives submit to your husband.
And that's a big deal on social media. Girl,
always a big deal because people want to weaponize that scripture for their own selfish.
It's women, men love, well, some men who uses that.
Right.
Use that as defense.
Yeah.
As a reason to be a jerk. That's what they use that scripture for. They're using it as a reason to be a jerk.
Right.
And just keep reading because he later on says husbands likewise, which means in a similar fashion, which means in the same way. Right?
Exactly.
Yes.
And so my husband and I, we look at submitting like riding a bicycle.
Oh.
If you have one pedal, only one pedal stays down and one pedal stays up, you're not going nowhere.
Right.
Right. Submitting is putting one foot in front of the other. You are a body, right? The husband is the head, the wife is the body. You put one foot goes and then the other foot goes. Correct. You don't sit there hopping on one foot because he's the head of the house.
You're not going to get anywhere.
You're not going to get anywhere.
No. Right.
One foot in front of the other. And we understand that. That's the way our marriage has been since we said I do, is that we understood that we are submitting to one another's dreams. And so
to one another, and that's what they miss, is that they show like Jesus is supposed to submit to the church and the women's supposed to submit to the husband. It's just an example how submission is supposed to work, but they do miss the other component. You submit to one another, because if I submit to you, that means that someone has to lead, and it doesn't mean a leadership means, because sometimes men and women, we have to switch roles. At some point, your spouse have to lead, and then you have to take a step back and submit to them. It's not supposed to be one and done. I say this is how it goes because I'm the man, and you're supposed to submit to me. No, we submit to one another, because when a leader is needed, that's the one who step up to the plate to lead the household.
Absolutely.
It's supposed to be as one.
What's crazy about that with men is that they will harbor a lot of resentment towards women for having to carry so much pressure, right? For having to carry so much load. But then they're like, no, I'm the leader, and it's like, well, I'm here to help.
How can you?
In that way, isn't that the first scripture, Genesis? I'm here to help.
Right.
Yeah, to help me. You're supposed to help me.
And then you'll see conversations like, see, that's why we don't open up, because we got all this pressure, and we see this is why we don't. And I'm like, well, baby, this is the prison that you put yourself in, huh?
Oh my gosh, I couldn't have said it better. Yes.
You put yourself in that prison,
girl.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I can lead. I can help pay the bills. I can help. And that's not a perspective that I'm getting from my husband, just from what I've heard. You just hear culturally. Because there was a time. Okay, so like we get married. I'm working as a teacher. He's in the military, and he's doing real estate. And then we moved to North Carolina. we decided to go and start a ministry down in North Carolina, right? And so this was his vision and his dream. So I was like, okay, dropping the job, let's roll. So I'm a stay-at-home wife at the time, so I could help with the ministry, and we're at the church during the day, and we're cleaning, and we're following up with people, and we're inviting people out, all that kind of stuff. And that I gladly played my role in facilitating his vision for his dream. And I took my gifts and my skills. I played keyboard, right? And I could sing. So worship service, I got that. I used to be a teacher, so getting the little kiddies during Sunday school service, I got that. So I'm taking my skills, right?
Yes.
And I'm applying them to his vision and his dream.
Right.
Right. We get to, right. So that was one foot down, 1 foot up.
Right.
And then we rotate, and now my dream has come along of doing music full time, right? And I tell him, I'm like, babe, I really want to do this. I feel like I'm called to do this. I feel it in my spirit. He's like, okay, bet. What does he do? He puts his skills to work. We get out of debt. He is my manager. He's my road manager. All of the skills that he learned as an assistant pastor, because that's why we came back. He was an assistant pastor. He would have to plan the mission trips and take like 20 people on the other side of the world, right?
Okay.
Wow.
So he's planning the hotels and the airplane and the travel and all that kind of stuff. So when my dream has come to fruition and I need help with tour,
right,
guess who takes his skills and his abilities and applies them to my dream now, right? He's doing the hotels, and he's getting the airport, the flights, and he's doing this and putting the schedule and because he's organized. I am not, right?
Okay.
Not either.
Okay, I'm not mad.
And now we're here, right? The bicycle is coming here because he is now pursuing his dream in mental health, right?
Oh, okay.
All these years, and he had his moment, right? And he shares this story. Remember, I had my panic attack. He had his moment in 2021. Okay. Where we were both like, whoa, like slow down. What is going on? Right. And it was his spirit kicking his butt. Like, get me out of here. Right. And so he had his moment. And I said, babe, your mental health. I'm like, quit playing with me. You sitting here reading all these books for kicks and giggles. Don't nobody have to pay you to learn anything about mental health. You will order books on Amazon and da da da. And so now we're here. He finally is accepting this part of himself, and living in his truth, and things are just happening. Things are happening. He's getting all this free stuff. I'm like, how you gonna sit here and pursue your dream? Now you get free computer and free printer and go to school for free, and the military is paying for it, and I'm like, when did this happen? And again, like you said, April, it was sitting there. He had credits since 2009 in mental health.
Whoa.
Right? He had those credits since 2009.
Wow.
Finally calling upon it, right? And so now he's going to school, and guess what? I used to be a teacher. So now I can take my skills and be like, okay, you remember APA, right? Because it's been a while since you've been in college. You gotta sit here, write papers and stuff. So, and he wants to write a book. And so now, that is how we've always just fed off of each other.
Wow. That's amazing.
And our kids they have time to learn who they are, but they're going to see that that's how that's supposed to work.
Yes. Wow. Just listening to your story, it's almost, in some aspect, a lot of the aspects remind me of my life, what my life was like when my husband's passed now, but he was in the ministry. He was the minister of music. His father was the head pastor of the church in Cleveland. And I was I started off as the praise dance overseer. So when it came to the ministry and the church and all that, I identify with all that. I identify with the music, and tell your husband, I know what it's like to live with a musician, because music is your first love.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
What that's like. But yeah, I identify with all that. And when you mentioned about going back to school, about the mental health thing, I did the same thing. So I'm totally, it's like, she
Really?
didn't ruin my life.
Oh, wow.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so
I love
I'm pretty
synchronicity.
sure that all of our stories, it's resembles other what's going on in other people's lives. And so
Yeah.
just hearing you, it kind of ignited me again. It's like I need to get my stuff back together again because I'm a wedding officiant and I do premarital counseling and things
Oh,
like
wonderful.
that too. But this is a slow period for me because I'm like, oh, I can't wait until things pick up again. And so I'm just like, oh. So, but yeah, I love listening
Wow.
to you. But what I really want us to transition to, because I know that we were only trying to keep you for a short time, but see, like we can talk all night.
Yes.
You're so easy to talk to, oh my gosh. But
So it sounds like we have to have Roberta back also at some
okay,
point.
well, that could work
Absolutely.
too.
Yes.
That could work too. But I want to know more about her music.
Absolutely.
And I think you shared something on our page, Linda. One of her albums that's on iTunes, but they only give you like a snippet because I don't have Apple Tunes or iTunes, whatever it's called. What's it called?
Shame on you. You have an
Apple
iPhone, you don't
Music.
have Apple Music?
I don't have Apple Music.
I'm gonna judge you just like you judge my plastic cup.
So I can only hear like what a minute of each song, but it gave me enough to gauge who you are as an artist. It really did.
Yes.
And I heard some traditional country music. I heard that. I heard some modernized stuff. But I really like the one, I can't recall. I was looking for my notes because I wrote it down. But Dinner.
Sunset Nina Simone.
Yes.
That right there. I'm like,
yes.
she is because Nina Simone was about social justice and activism and in her music.
Yeah.
And that's what I hear. I was like, this is a fusion between country and blackism. I love it.
Truly. And if I could read something that I pulled from the net about your debut album, Too Much of a Woman, and it reads, this project, and I'm assuming you put this out here, this project is intended to encourage the listener to take up space in a world that tells them to keep their place. Vulnerability has been used as a weapon against us, but it's been our power all along. That's so profound, just so profound. Yeah. So as you talk about too much of a woman, tell us about what that has been like, from the transitioning from being inducted into I have the name right here, I don't want to call it the wrong thing, CMT's Next Women of Country class of 2023, which I was so proud of you. I was like, that is so awesome. This is a big deal.
Oh,
as you transition, yes, isn't that amazing? Just amazing.
Yeah.
And you transition into debuting your first full album, because you had songs out, but your first full album. Talk a little bit about that. Talk about the project, your favorite song on the project.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Wow. What, yeah, man, what a group of 3 years. This
yes.
Been, mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. And I was encouraged to, I'm learning the process of riding waves, right? When there is a splash, when there is when momentum builds, to take advantage of that as an independent artist and ride those waves. And so, we have the timeline 2021, Black Opera gets started, Color Me Country, conversations, right, around Black artists and country music. So that was a splash, rode the wave. I released my EP, Just a Taste, right, to take advantage of all of these new eyes and all of these new conversations that are happening. 2022, we're on the road, right? So we're touring. Well, now I'm getting these new fans, right? I'm developing these community of different people all across the nation. And so now I have to prepare to give them something else, because I didn't have that fan base when I released Just a Taste, right?
Right.
And then touring. Now I'm developing this little fan base. And a friend of mine, Heather May, Holly G, they encouraged me, like, you need to release the album. Do an album. And I'm like,
Good.
are you sure? I'm like, I don't know if I have that pull just yet. Maybe EP, maybe a couple singles, but is that? They're like, no, you got to release the album. And so my friend Heather helped me to run a Kickstarter to raise money for the album.
Right.
The goal
Okay.
was $18,000. We ended up raising $22,000 for that record.
Nice.
And so for me, it was relieving, because one of the things that can be really hard about being an artist is you put all the blood, sweat, and tears. My very first project was called I Am Yours, like a couple years ago. It was like a CCM, it was a I don't know what kind of style I was at the time, but I was doing Christian music, because I was in the church at the time, and I released this project, but I buy all these CDs and like just
Oh,
sitting
wow.
at the desk, like no
Yeah.
one, right? And so I was really afraid of doing a project where I would do all this work, put all this money, time, and effort into it, and then not have anyone to receive it. But doing a Kickstarter is almost kind of like a prepaid, like people are pre-ordering prepaid. People are, pre-order your CDs. So it's like when we did the Kickstarter, I'm like, okay, now I know there are 316 people who are ready for this album when it comes out. At least,
Okay. Right.
and so I announced the Kickstarter in 2022. We reached the goal, and then when 2023 kicks off, CMT's Next Women in the Country Recording Academy, I released Too Much of a Woman as a single featuring all women musicians, right? Shout out to Jenny Vinson, Vanessa McGowan, Ellen Angelico, and Megan Jane. And then I do a music video featuring local creatives, featuring and starring my friend Nisha Himes, who is an advocate for against domestic violence. She's a domestic violence survivor. And so she's in the music video. That it plays on Times Square with CMT. CMT features it in Times Square, right? And so, this momentum is going. I released Girl Trip not too long after that. And then,
I love that one.
The jamming is at it, smart
so releasing. So again, there's this momentum. So it's like 2022, there's this wave of touring. I'm building all of this community and fans. And so let me go ahead and ride that wave and announce a Kickstarter, right? So boom, now all these fans that I got know I'm doing a Kickstarter, right? And then 2023 starts. Big splash, CMT's Next Women in the Country. Big splash, Recording Academy. Big splash, Times Square, right? So it's like, again, boom, we got to keep this momentum right that way. Boom, drop the album, right?
Okay.
And so that was the process of creating that. I have some songs up there that were 5 years old. Make Up Your Mind is a 5-year-old song. I've had it for forever. I was always like tinkering with it in the studio, go back after 6 months and tinker with it again. And we finally finished it. And then there were some songs like Somewhere in the Tide where I wrote it and we recorded it like in no time.
Right.
And so, the story behind the record is just a collection of experiences that I had when it came to being too much of a woman for some spaces that I was occupying.
Yes. And I like the end of that phrase, I'm too much of a woman.
You're not enough of a man.
You are too little of a man.
Right on time.
You know it. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I mean, it was just a collection really of experiences that I feel like we've all had at some point, where we start to realize that the game is rigged. When you're a young girl and there are these promises and they're like, oh, women can do whatever, and you're, the world is ahead of you and success and blah blah blah. And then at some point you're like, what is this group of people with this huge ego? What is their problem?
and you know what? Now that you mention that, because I know that we were going to talk about the all popular thing that just came out a couple of weeks ago. However, before we jump into it, I'm wondering, did you hear the comment that John Schneider made in an interview about just the look on your face, I love it. About Beyonce's country album she's coming out with and the music.
Too little of a man. That's all I got to say about that.
Boom. Boom.
Because what are you doing, sir?
I love it.
Exactly.
When's the last time you had a $1 billion tour?
Okay.
And he had a music career. Last time you had a multi-million-dollar tour, sir?
He had a music career. I'm not shaming anybody, but it was about that big.
Right.
And that really? Long.
Right. Right. I just felt like it was a very poor choice of words to try to compare something like that to walking a dog and a dog using the bathroom to mark their place.
It was very intentional. You want to know why?
It was.
Because you don't see any interviews out there about Dolly Parton going to rock and roll.
Oh, right.
Where's the conversation with Dolly Parton going, or with Jelly Roll? There's a new artist named Jelly Roll, and someone said that he spent 10 years trying to have a rap career that was trash. Yeah. Apparently, that's just what somebody said. Don't quote me on that. I never heard the music.
Allegedly, yeah.
But allegedly, they said that it obviously didn't work because he's not in rap anymore. He transitions over to company. He gets full throttle support from the country music scene, transitioning from rap to country. But they are trying to come in. Who are these they people trying to come in and take over everything and
trying to be the gatekeeper? No,
I was about to say that, trying to be the gatekeeper. Come on,
trying to be the gatekeeper. And I mean, it's really just sound bites. They got nothing else to talk about. He doesn't have anything going. Where's your press tour, sir? Where's your interview for your new music, sir?
Hello.
Where are your performances? If you were busy being successful, you wouldn't have the time to be barking on somebody else's success.
Exactly.
Since you want to talk about dogs peeing on trees, you wouldn't have any time barking up somebody else's tree. Sniffing somebody else's behind. That's what he's doing. You want to sit here and talk about dogs? You over here sniffing her behind because you ain't got your own behind to sniff. You can't even reach. You got no reach.
Girl, you better read him up and down that tree.
You ain't got no reach. If you were busy, sir, if you were successful, where is your time? Where would you have time for this?
Right.
Y'all ain't got nothing to talk about.
Right.
Nothing to talk about. Yeah. So you might want to thank your queen bee for giving you for putting your face and your name on people's timelines. How about you do that?
Right.
That's all.
That's
he did just so he can be relevant.
Yeah, he did. That's it.
To make himself relevant.
Bye. Yes,
because no one's thinking about
your name. Your name got brought up in conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you, Queen Bee.
Yes. Yes.
Another 5 minutes of fame, whatever.
That's all he could get.
Yeah.
He's to get into it.
Yeah.
About B and making this transition. She's calling it Act 2. Is that right? And I am Beehive. I'm just gonna go ahead and put that out there. I think everybody knows that Paulette's Beehive as well.
I am.
Look at April.
A Beehive, because she did drag me to the Beyonce concert. We went all the way to New York, and she dragged me to the Beyonce concert.
Okay.
And I loved it.
Not the Renaissance tour.
It wasn't hard, was it?
I couldn't really
turn
afford
it down.
But we went to the Lemonade tour.
I enjoyed it, but I'm not a
Beehive. It was great. It was great. She was great. That was the year Prince died, and she sang Purple Rain, and that was tops for me. Oh my gosh, that I was in a whole other place. But let's talk about B and her Act 2, and your thoughts about her release and her launch. 16 carriages, Texas Hold'em. What are your thoughts?
Oh man, it's exciting. it's very exciting, but it's also complicated, right? And I think she knows that because of her experience with Daddy Lessons in 2016 and performing at CMAs and people just acting like they had a brick in their stump. Like they just, you know, they could not appreciate. Don't get me started.
Wow.
But, you know, I think she understands. The thing is that she's as country can be. She's from Houston, Texas, and you can.
That's what I said. It should be easy transition. I don't understand.
You know, you can pull up her interviews and hear, like, my husband tags me all the time because every now and then, like, I'm from Virginia. We're here in Virginia. I grew up here, so it's interesting. Like, we're right in the middle between the North and the South, right?
Right. Right.
So once you get to North Carolina, it gets thick, right?
Yes.
That country gets thick.
Yes.
But Virginia, we're kind of like, right? You don't really know.
Yeah.
But every now and then, my husband will be like, I don't know. I can't even conjure it right now because I don't know when. But he's just like, babe, you are country.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, what you mean you can't smell the rain? Like you can
and I can
like,
feel it in my bones, my
like,
smell rain. Yes.
My neck's hurting back here. I know, you know what I
mean?
Yeah. So true. Every now and then that Southernness do come out.
Yeah.
I always say we are below the Mason-Dixon line, so please forgive us.
Yeah.
Forgive us.
You know what I'm saying? So you know, and so you look at her interviews, and it's just obvious as day. And you know, they've always had. I'll never forget. I was in middle school, and they came out. I think it was Bugaboo or one of the music videos where they were rocking their cowgirl hats.
Yeah,
they had black girls in New York, groups of them with a cowgirl hat on. Like Beyonce has always been country. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's true. That's absolutely.
You know, I honestly, like listening to 16 Carriages, it feels like it's right at home for her. 16 Carriages feels like it is just right in her pocket.
Yeah.
Right in her pocket.
Okay.
And I'm looking forward to hearing the more sentimental side. She's done a lot of projects where she's had very sentimental or that sentimental projects that I think diving into country music is going to give her a lot more space to really bloom and expand in that.
Oh, okay.
And so it's complicated because when it comes to the work that Black musicians have been doing in country music for 10, 20 years, running at it, the question is this going to be an opportunity where a rising tide lifts all boats? Or is it going to be where she completely overshadows the work that everyone else has been doing and grinding along this whole time? And so I'm very hopeful, and I'm very hopeful. She's very conscious about her Blackness. She's very conscious about the Black community. And so I'm hopeful that they have been aware of the conversation and that it is going to make room for other Black artists, particularly Black women, to be able to step in this limelight as well. But it is complicated in that sense because we really don't know, like, okay, they're going to make an exception for her. Like there was one article that came out, Variety, and the journalist was saying that radio directors were saying like, oh, we've been waiting for a Black superstar like Beyonce for country radio, but we just haven't found her yet. And it's like you want to pull your hair out because excuse me, like Mickey Guyton, Tina Adele, Britney Spencer,
they're there.
You know what I mean? You know, you're just like, okay, sure. Whatever you got to tell yourself to convince yourself.
Right. There you go.
You know what I'm
saying?
Exactly.
So it's like major eye roll. Like, come on, man. People been out. Mickey Guyton, her vocals, like she is incredible. She's incredible.
Yes.
And she just needed the support.
Yeah.
So that's I'm absolutely excited because, you know, someone as big and as powerful as Beyonce definitely validates the work that we're doing. Especially, I think I'm more excited for what it's going to mean for the Black community. So
Yes.
country radio run by white men aside, right? Put that aside.
Okay.
What it means as far as opening the doors and opening the hearts and the ears of Black people in country music.
Yes.
Right? Because for a really long time, and even you guys have expressed, it's like, I don't listen to country music like that, but you know, people come to my concert and they're like, well, I really like this. Why? It's because I'm intentional, and people hear in my songs our Black stories.
Yeah.
Yes.
They hear they hear Nina Simone.
Yes.
Right? A typical artist, a typical country artist is going to shout out Dolly Parton, right? And you know, Tim McGraw or Loretta Lynn or what right? They're going to shout out,
and that's okay.
And that is okay. They're going to shout out legends that they respect. Well, I'm a country artist, and a legend that I happen to respect is Nina Simone. Right? A legend that I happen, you see what I'm saying? And so I'm the average artist probably wouldn't think to do that. But when the Black community hears that, especially for example, hip hop, because my husband, he loves hip hop, and that night, like the song, it literally is how it happened. I write a lot of songs, just that is literally what happened. We were on the other side of the water. It was getting late. Sun was setting. We needed some food. We sat down and we were eating dinner in the parking lot, listening to right?
Look at that.
That's serious. That is how it happened. And so my husband and I started talking about Nina Simone, and my daughter's like, "Mommy, who's that?" So I started playing her, and my husband's like, "Oh, that's who that is." And because in hip hop they sample Nina Simone
all the time.
All the time. So think about that connection now, right? Between someone who loves hip hop and this country song.
Yes.
Look at that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're not going to have the same connection between someone who loves hip hop and someone who says Loretta Lynn. That's just going to go over.
That's not going to,
that's not going to connect.
Right.
No.
And so,
and that's what I heard when I said that country meet Blackness. I mean, our Black experience.
Yes.
And so I can see how that's going to open up to, because we can be really narrow-mindedness.
Yeah.
We can be very minded about things that we don't know. We don't know country. The only time we know country is like back in the day before there was satellite TV.
I don't think that's what it is.
No,
country music has created a culture that subconsciously told Black people we weren't allowed.
You know what? There you go. That's
there you go.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't because Black people created country.
Right.
We made country music.
Yes.
Now, there's that debate going on. So talk about that a little bit. I was doing some research, and as you research, there's only so much out there because the gatekeepers are going to put out there what they want you to know, just like in school. So I understand that Jimmie Rodgers is thought to be, or normally portrayed as, the father or grandfather of country. But there are arguments that I have seen on social media all week, and not knowing the background, I wanted to hear more about this, is talking about our creation of country music from hymns, from old hymns, and that those old hymns of the Black church were used in country songs. And that I can identify with because I've heard some of those, and I remember hearing that when I was young. So if you could talk a little bit about our history in country music.
Absolutely. I'll never forget, my mom was telling me that she was driving and she thought she tuned into a gospel station. She was sitting there thinking she was just listening to some good old gospel till she heard a word. She's like, "This is a country music station." Right? And so one of the best examples of that is the banjo.
Yes.
That was inspired by a West African instrument. I can't remember the pronunciation. It's not coming to my head right now. But they used to make these stringed instruments out of gourds, right? Out of these round gourds, and African slaves brought them with them during the slave trade to America. And so that in turn eventually developed into the banjo. The banjo was predominantly and initially a Black community instrument. Had a long day's work, right? Sharecropper or whoever, you working all day. What are the things that you would do to relax and entertain yourself? Somebody would get on that banjo and play at night on the porch. Family, everybody's hanging out, passing out some food, passing out some of those bean or that gum, whatever, right? And they're on the porch playing the banjo. Well, at a certain point, there started to become minstrel shows as a form of entertainment.
Right.
And these minstrel shows, because they would not hire Black, of course they weren't hiring Black people, and they weren't planning on paying them or nothing. These minstrel shows would essentially be white people painted in blackface to poke fun of Black culture. And what did they do to poke fun of Black culture? They would sit there and play the banjo. Blah, 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 ha, 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 look at me, I'm a goofy old Black person, right? That's what they were doing in these minstrel shows. Well, the minstrel shows were such a popular form of entertainment that eventually the music became popular too.
Okay. Wow.
So they were mocking Black people and playing Black music on that Black banjo.
Yeah.
But because that entertainment was popular, they started to record that banjo and record that type of music to sell.
Yep.
Wow.
Okay.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Now, you had this 19th century, 20th century, you have Black artists and white artists. Black man and poor white man had a lot in common. Poor white man couldn't vote.
Right.
You couldn't vote unless you had land.
Right.
Poor white man couldn't, right? Black man wasn't getting paid for jobs. White man couldn't find jobs because they were exploiting me over here, right? They had a lot in common. So Black community, poor white Appalachian community, immigrants, Scottish, Irish, right? They had a lot in common. They were singing these songs. They were going on that banjo and singing these tunes. And eventually the technology came along to where the record industry was able to record those songs on vinyl and sell them. Well, all of our markets are segregated.
Right.
Yep.
Every market segregated.
Yeah.
We're not crossing y'all. So if you are a Black person and you're playing this banjo and you're playing songs, or you're playing guitar and you're playing the song, and a white person is playing guitar or playing banjo and playing the same exact music, same exact style, but I have to sell you now.
Right.
So I'm gonna sell you over here, and I'm gonna call you Race Records because you're Black. And you over here, same instrument, same tunes, same sound, but you're white. So I'm gonna call you Hillbilly because that's what y'all, you little poor white. See, that's what white people need to understand too, is that they didn't like y'all either. Okay. Like that's they didn't like white people either. They was looking down on you like,
yes,
how can I exploit this guy too? Right?
Right, because it's a classism. Right.
Classism. Right? Just classism with a new mask.
Right.
Yes.
With a mask.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you guys are hillbillies, right? Up in them hills, working hard, Appalachian and working the coal miner's daughter, right? That's y'all. So you're
right.
hillbilly and you're race records. You know what happened to race records and hillbilly? R&B, country.
Whoa.
I've
I
always
learned something today. Okay. We
I've
always
always-
talk about.
See there?
We always say we want to teach something.
Yeah.
And our listeners commend the shows because they're able to learn something. They learned something today, honey. They got a history lesson in country
Amen.
music.
Yes. And I've always felt that way because I always say that country music, bluegrass music, jazz music, blues music, they're cousins. There are cousins. They come from the same source. They share the same, it's the same but different experiences.
Yeah.
It's come out of the challenges and the disparities and the joys and the pains of the culture. But one is white and one is Black. But it came from the same source, which was that African.
Yeah.
the true source came from that one African over there. It's like, in my opinion, I don't mean to go back to the Bible, but it's like the Ishmael Isaac thing. Both came from Abraham. This was the progenitor for Muslims, and this became the progenitor for Christianity. It's the same source, came from the same loins, came from the same God, but you call it different things. Yeah. So that's how I look at music. It's all one source. It comes from one source, and that's God's source. Yeah. He is the one to give you to it, but it's our interpretation, how we perceive it and how we express it, that's different. But really,
and that's what speaks to us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Here's the thing. Country music has become a last battleground for segregationists and Aryan Nation. That seems to be like the last bit of culture that they can hold on to, despite the fact that it was yet another thing that they stole. There's the last tidbit that they could just hold on to and call theirs. So when you look at the relationship between the Black community and country music, right? When you pull up to a concert, you see that Confederate flag, you're like,
right,
here we go.
Right?
Exactly.
Because
right.
You ain't never going to see a Confederate flag at a jazz concert. There's plenty of white people out there playing jazz.
Yes, exactly.
Lots of white people who play jazz. No Confederate flag in sight.
No Confederate flag. Right. That's right. Yeah.
Right.
Lots of white people who play pop music everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
No Confederate flag. None of that.
So do you think there'll ever be a bridging of the gap, if you will? Because we want to see, I personally want to see, you've mentioned it, country music flourish within our Black community, because we've got a story to tell, and we want that story to be told with this great music, country music, telling stories that we relate to. And it is okay for people who don't have our experience to relate to something else. That is okay. How do we get to that common ground where there's not the fight and to stand our ground, but to also not have the combativeness, if you will? What does that look like? Is that possible? Can it happen?
I think on our level, right? So, for example, a lot of the conversation goes back to the gatekeepers and the people who call the shots up here, right at the top. If you look at other artists, for example, other white artists, like they love collaborating, they love they're here for all of it, right?
Right.
But again, it goes back to race records and the hillbilly, right?
Right.
Where right now, if we're talking about country music, right now you have Black country music artists, white country music artists. If a Black country music artist puts 808 beats in their songs, then the radio heads at the top are gonna be like, "Oh, you're not country." But if a white artist puts 808 beats in their songs, their heads, "Oh wow, look at how cool and new and innovative this is. That's cool, yeah, right."
Yes.
So it's not necessarily between these two groups of people.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? It's not between these two groups of people. It's between the people at the top.
Right.
And the from what the history of America and the history of Black America. See, I like to call Black people in America, we're the middle child. Black people.
What you mean?
Middle children?
Say more about that.
The middle child.
That's the one that gets ignored, generally speaking.
Right.
That doesn't have an identity, if you will.
The ones that cause problems, but the reason why we call what? Did y'all see that?
Hey girls, celebrate. We're celebrating country music. Yay! We're celebrating Black artists, country music. Yeah.
She said the middle child will not be ignored.
Will not be ignored. No, but the middle child is too smart, and they're gonna call it what it is.
Yep, there you go. That's
and
it.
So the older child. Say again.
That's why they're upset, because we're calling them out to face.
Yeah. No. We're the middle child. We're not.
Yeah.
I think I really feel like, because I always talk about social media, and I hate the negativity. However, I am liking how everybody and a lot of us are embracing the new music by Beyonce, and they're coming out with all these dance challenges. Y'all know how I am about my
Yeah,
dance.
line dance. Oh yes.
But they're coming out with these dance challenges, and like I said, and it's not just us, it's everybody is really embracing. And I think she has grown to be able to help bridge that gap better and have more people looking at, you know, country, black country music and saying, hey, you know, maybe, you know, we need to take a second look at this. Because, you know, K Michelle tried her hand at it. I'm not sure where it went with that, because I really didn't hear, you know, a lot. I heard one song that she collaborated with another artist, but her own project, I don't know how far that actually went. But I'm really hoping that this continues to bring that middle child right onto the top. You know what I mean? And I think she's going to do a good job at bridging that gap that you were talking about, Linda.
Yeah. I don't think, well, here's the thing, is that Black America, no one has ever given us what we wanted out of the kindness of their hearts. We always had to fight. We always had to fight. We always had to argue. We always had to bring about a little friction.
Yeah.
We always had to come about and poke and say, excuse me, but this isn't right. This ain't right. This isn't right.
We had to call it out. You're absolutely right.
To call it right. And so, unfortunately, right, because the Black Opera has been a beautiful movement. This isn't the first time this has happened, though. There was a Black Country Music Association that was happening in the 80s and 90s.
Okay.
Frankie Staten and her count and others were the first all black writers round at the Bluebird Cafe down in Tennessee, down in Nashville, right?
Okay.
So this movement has been here before, and then before them you had Charlie Pride, and then before that you had Charlie Pride and Lena Martell, first Black woman to chart in country music, right?
Yeah.
And before that there was D. Ford Bailey. He was the very first person to ever perform on the Grand Ole Opry stage was a Black man.
Wow. I did not realize that. Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Wow. Yeah.
And so you're talking about decades ago, and we still haven't seen much of a budge. And so we just know this isn't going to go down without a fight.
That's right. Yes.
It is what it is. You know?
We're ready. And this summer, I'm going to tell y'all now, because Beyonce was 9 years old when I was sporting my cowboy boots up in New York City when I was going to college. I just want everybody to know that. I was a Black girl sporting my cowboy boots. I was.
Yes.
So, in my Daisy
first year
Dukes,
college?
my first year college, my Daisy Dukes and my Black cowboy boots, okay? On 42nd Street, just strutting, okay? I was an aerobics instructor at the time, so I had the legs for it then. So, this summer, I will be in my cowboy. All through, I'm getting me a new pair of cowboy boots, and I'm gonna get me a nice big bucket. And honey, yes, we represent.
About no Daisy Dukes.
Well,
come on,
she ain't hanging out with me with no Daisy Dukes. She better put on some. Look, she better put on some pedal pushers.
Not no pedal pushers though.
I said pedal pushers.
I might put on a mini skirt though. I could do a mini skirt. I mean, I could probably do Daisy Dukes, but you know.
No.
Tell me. Let me drink my wine. I don't want to see that. Before we let Roberta go, I do want to talk about your tour and talk about your tour dates coming up.
Yes.
I have a quick question for you before we talk about the tour, because I just love your story and what you shared about how organically you have really just worked your dream into and made it come to fruition. When someone is following that path where, you know, their craft is of the arts and, you know, like you talked about riding the wave, it's so important. I'm an actor. So, you know, there's times when I'm cast in many, many different things. There are a lot of different things happening. And then there's a lot of downtime, you know. And sometimes during that downtime, you start to doubt and the imposter syndrome sneaks in. what would you say to artists out there when that begins to happen, and how to stay the course?
Ooh, that imposter syndrome is something else.
It is. It is.
It's I would have to say, um, I had to learn to enjoy those downtimes, because
Oh.
when it's go time, when it's time to hit the road, next thing you know, you're so tired, you're like, "Ooh, I can't wait to get home." Right. And so, that life is like, it's a journey, it's a roller coaster. So you have the ups, you have the downs, you have the ons and the offs, right? Um, and so not only that, I think for me, what grounds me a lot is getting involved in my community and making sure that I'm still connected here at home in Virginia. Because it can be, it's very easy to get on the road, and it looks glamorous that you're flying and you're doing, you got shows or you got all that kind of stuff. But for me, I'm like, it felt like the cart before the horse if everyone knew me out there, but nobody knows me here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so on that downtime, like you said, so you're in the arts. So is there opportunity to teach acting and get involved in a nonprofit in the area that will teach kids, acting and giving creative lessons? That's what I do on my downtime. I'm a part of a program called Virginia Arts for Learning, and I'll do programs around the area, after school program, where I just teach kids what songwriting is all about. And then we just did a mental health program where I did a talk on the mental health benefits of music. And so I fill up my space in between with work in the community, so that way not only are you still maintaining that momentum, right? It's a lower hum now, right? It's not the big splash anymore, or red carpet, or right. It's not a big splash anymore, but you're still maintaining that momentum because you're still taking your craft and you're putting it to good use somewhere. Right. And so I feel like a lot of people are always we're kind of just waiting for this high, because I felt like that a couple of times, right? And I even remember as 2023 started to come to a close, um, and I remember just thinking to myself and praying, like, man, God, 2023 was so amazing. How are we gonna top that in
What
2024?
now, right?
What now, right? And just and an irrational fear that whatever it is it going to be enough? And I think maintaining connection to your craft and to your community, right, between your craft and your community, is going to maintain you until the next high, until the next splash, right? And then you ride that wave, ride it, right?
Yeah.
And then as it settles, you're in your community, you're doing little acting classes here, you're doing songwriting classes over there, and you're giving this little talk here, and you're doing networking there, and you're just doing little things. The next, boom, splash again, right?
Right.
So I think that's what helps to maintain those in between spaces, and that helps to combat that imposter syndrome. Because if you think about imposter syndrome, you feel like an imposter when you're in a space, feel like you belong there. Well, honestly, regularly, do we belong on movie sets all the time? No, that's not a common part of the human experience. Being on a red carpet is not a common part of human experience, right? That's not it's not your everyday kind of thing. And so combating that would be grounding ourselves in those everyday human experiences with the community, the arts, kids. Kids don't care who you are. Good.
Right.
Just get down there. And they're like, "You're who? You do what now?" They don't care. You just like, yeah, exactly. Yes. I'm nobody. Great. Let's just talk about songwriting today. And those experiences definitely keep me grounded until the next high. So
thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. That is very helpful.
Yeah.
Yes. So your tour, upcoming this Friday, right? February 23rd at Zyder's Dream Theater. February 28th at Elevation 27.
Yes. Opening for Chapel Heart.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Excellent. Wonderful.
Yes.
Then the March dates, we've got you at the Ferguson Center in Newport News, March 24th. The Wolf Trap in Vienna, Virginia, March 29th. And then you're going to be traveling outside of the state, up in Kennett Square, PA, the Kennett Flash,
Yep.
on April 19th.
Yep.
April 20th, 420 Concert Studios, Freehold, New Jersey. Awesome.
Yep.
All
And
right.
April 21st. Wow, 3 days. You're back to back to back.
Yeah.
Argyle Brewing Company in Cambridge, New York.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Wow.
Excellent. You have any dates scheduled beyond those? I mean, that's enough for right now, but do you have a date scheduled out beyond?
Yeah, we're working on filling out the whole year. We have a date in Wisconsin coming up.
Okay.
Yeah, then we have, we just got a one for Dollywood. So there's we start to
Ooh.
filling throughout the year
Yeah,
with
I've
my
heard
booking
about that
agent.
place.
That's where
I know.
Oh,
Yes.
I've heard about Dollywood. Oh my.
They're awesome. They're awesome. And they're one of the few venues that gave me a shot, in the beginning, that took a risk on me and had me come out and gave me
Yeah.
the experience. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And
Nice.
so what my booking agent will usually do is book an anchor date, right? Which is a big show, and then build dates that kind of go around that. So we have Florida. We're doing Tortuga Festival with the Black Opry in Florida. That's going to be incredible. Yeah, just a handful of things. So it's been great. And I'm really looking forward to it.
amazing.
That is wonderful.
Yes, you got a busy year. That's awesome. That is
Yeah.
awesome. We'd love to hear that. Yes.
Yes.
And if you could tell our listeners where they can stream your music, purchase your music, and also where they can find you online.
Yes, well, you can find me online. I am Roberta Lea, spelled Lea, online. That's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And then you can look me up on your preferred streaming platform, whether that's Apple Music, Amazon Music, Spotify, Tidal, any of those or any of the other ones, right? Because there's like a lot, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
there are.
There's a lot. There's a lot. And so you just find me, just type in Roberta Lea. My project, Too Much of a Woman, is the most recent one. And you'll be able to enjoy my music there. So that's where they can find me.
Yes.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Is the key word. You will definitely enjoy her music.
Yes.
Yes,
Absolutely.
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 Oh, and I did want to bring one more thing up. I forgot. You performed at it wasn't called Something in the Water. It was the side gig,
Something Indie Water.
Something
Yes.
Indie Water, and that was at Family Fun Experience Theater. That's the theater where I performed. I didn't get a
Oh,
chance to come see you.
wonderful.
Yeah, I was so
Oh,
excited you
wow.
were there.
Oh, what a small world. That's awesome.
Yes. So I thought
Okay.
that was awesome. But yeah,
Awesome.
we'll definitely be getting out to see you. We got to drag April out to a concert. She hasn't been yet, so
Yes.
we got to get it. And we don't
This
have to drag.
Friday.
She's gonna want to come. Yes, this Friday. That's right.
Yep.
I'm thinking
February
about
23rd.
the one in Newport News.
Ferguson Center.
Ferguson
Yeah.
Center.
March 24th.
Yeah,
That's the
it's gonna
day
be
we come
great.
back from our spa trip, our girls trip. We're gonna be
Hey.
blasting the song. Yeah. We could definitely do that. I'd be down to do that. So
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's do it.
Roberta, yeah. Roberta, thank you so much for being here. When I reached out to you, you responded right away. You shared that you were excited to be here. I can't thank you enough. You're just such a wonderful, humble human being, and just
Thank
so
you.
kind. And
Yes.
kindness is really at a premium these days, right? You don't see kindness a lot, and that speaks to me. So I really
Genuine.
appreciate. Yes.
Genuine
Thank you.
kindness, genuine kindness.
Well, you guys made it easy, that's for sure. This was a lot of fun. Loved it.
It was so easy talking with you. It was like we were on a girls trip.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
I love it.
Exactly.
We'll
love
definitely
Exactly.
have to have you on again. We'll
Yeah.
definitely have to get on your schedule for that. So
Absolutely.
thank you again. And listeners, as we always say, have the wine you love the wine you're with.